everybody. This is Jim.
And Jeremy.
And we are on show number 34. So today we are going to start off with theme songs from horror movies. And then we're going to get into some new horror movies this year. So this list we have is from Den of Geek. This list is from 2019. And it was compiled by David Crow. And there's 13 of them here. Some horror movies, I do think of certain themes. Actually, the first one on this, number 13 on this list, appropriately, Friday the 13th. And never forget, the ch-ch-ch, ha-ha-ha,
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain sounds, and Halloween, too, is another one.
Yep, absolutely.
Some of these I looked through, I don't really remember or know, but we'll mention them. But so again, we let's see, number 13, we have Friday the 13th from 1980. If you haven't seen any Friday the 13th, I don't know, maybe you don't like horror movies. I don't know where you have been. But we have, Jason Voorhees, Jason. Eventually, he wears the hockey mask, not till the third movie.
Right.
So this theme was written by Harry Manfredini.
Yep.
This was originally intended to be the voice of Jason Voorhees' ghost speaking to his mother by stating, "Kill, kill, kill, mom, mom, mom." I did not know that. This person writes, not only is it Jason's calling card, it's a silent chant that lives in his unbeating heart. One that is literally laughing at the dead and dying. For me, that theme should be up there in the list. But I'm a big Friday the 13th fan, so. Then we have number 12, A Nightmare on Elm Street, written by Charles Bernstein. Also, ignore my voice, as you notice, a little rough. Getting over bronchitis. Glad I still have my voice.
Been at too many rave parties lately.
Yeah. Following the guttural sounds of other 1980s horror themes, A Nightmare on Elm Street scores about eerie atmosphere. I don't remember the theme from Nightmare on Elm Street. It says the theme has the creepy touch of a nursery rhyme, but in Freddy's school, it's always nap time.
Is it the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you?
Might be.
Is that what they're considering the theme? Because I only ever remember the blades on the steel pipes.
Yeah. I don't know. Number 11 is The Omen, which 1976. I don't know when I first saw this. We had HBO, when I was young, but this might have come on later. I know I saw it at a young age, but though he says it is hard to get scarier than the devil, especially when he comes in the shape of a little demon spawn who makes death eyes at every adult he meets. And then he says, channeled through a contrabass and the choir from hell, Jerry Goldsmith, that's the composer, Ave Santini, which means Hail Satan theme, is a reverent ode to the most malevolent force in the world as it heralds the birth and rise of the Antichrist. And the actual Latin chants translate to, we drink the blood, we eat the flesh, raise the body of Satan. It says, talk about a pick-me-up.
I don't remember that movie having any songs.
Well, it might have been just the background music.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch it.
Then we got Carrie, written by Pino Donaggio. Never one to miss a chance to borrow from Hitchcock's Brian De Palma. Even had his composer Pino Donaggio on the case with the score to this 1976 classic. It's bad because we don't remember a lot of these. I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't seen Carrie in years.
Yeah. Number 9 is Saw, Charles Closier. While overused after a parade of mediocre sequels, this theme still sends tingles rushing down one's nervous system. It says the epic piece by Charles Closier is a stunning embrace to total despair and horror when one of the lead characters realized that his murderer had been hiding on the floor in front of him for hours. I do like the Saw movies.
Oh, the first one was fantastic.
And we got number 8, The Wolfman from 1941.
Classic.
This was written by Charles Previn, Hans J. Salter, and Frank Skinner. He says, never scary. The Wolfman is the quintessential pulpy tragedy about a good man who turns into a beast. Says with little budget or time, the Wolfman creates a piece of music that is both mournful and exciting. I do think, a lot of these, especially the old horror movies, the music does make the mood, So maybe as a theme, it might be a piece of music that was created, but then throughout the movie, little parts of that, music is used in different scenes too.
I like the last line there. If you listen to the whole score, you can hear what might be the inspiration for Danny Elfman's Batman theme. Danny Elfman's done a ton of musical scores. Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas, a lot of Steven Spielberg movies, but Danny Elfman has had some great tracks. So
yeah, I don't even know if he's on this list.
Thought that was interesting, if nothing else.
And then we got Bride of Frankenstein, 1935 by Franz Waxman. Again, this classic universal horror may not be primarily scary, but this time it was never meant to be, as much as a dark comedy as a horror movie. So this review goes more into the movies than, I guess, the song. We should have listened to these.
We should have, yeah, we should have.
Okay.
Bram Stoker's Dracula checks in at number 6. Debatably the best Dracula movie, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula is an eerie cinematic magic trick executed with ancient stagecraft and hypnotically weird visuals, specifically in the costume area. One of the best aspects of the flick is its majestic score. Spooky and seductive, it has several themes encompassed in the above end credits.
And we're talking about the 1992
Yeah,
Dracula.
sorry, 92 Dracula.
I do like that movie.
That is one of the better movies on this list. Candyman, also from 92. So there you go, 92, the year of the horror musical score. Much about an acceptance of oblivion on a primal level as it is about the movie playing in front of you, Philip Glass's mini piano concerto is beyond nihilistic. It is an intoxicating surrender to the beauty of annihilation and the immortality inherent in death. It was written for Helen, who plays Virginia Madsen plays Helen, giving in to the Candyman, Tony Todd, his persistent offer of being his victim. Candyman is an exceedingly dense fable about the myths we tell ourselves and why they may be more important than actual reality. If you haven't seen that, it's a good movie.
Philip Glass, though, sounds familiar.
Why is that?
He must have written other scores for other movies.
Okay. Number 4 was The Exorcist, kicking off what is arguably the scariest movie ever made. That's debatable. The opening title track to The Exorcist is a combination of haunting tubular bells. This one is actually really good. I know this.
Yeah,
this
I think it's called Tubular Bells.
Yeah. Piano and a bass guitar that still sends shivers down the spine of any person. That is true. And my hair stands up on my body when this song comes on. Yeah. Hitting people where it hurt, the film was a phenomenon that became the first horror movie ever nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. It remains the single most theatrically watched R-rated picture ever released when adjusted for inflation.
I didn't know it was the first horror movie nominated.
Tubular Bells is played several times throughout the picture, which is why I think it gives you that, creepy feel when you hear it, because it's actually used in the film to create suspense, much like a couple of the others that we're going to approach here on this list. For the millions who saw The Exorcist first, it will always remain one of the most terrifying compositions ever recorded. Pretty fair statement. Number 3, Psycho. Another good one that comes to mind. Very unique in culture, this piece of music can often be overlooked by those for its truly freakish quality. When audiences lined up in 1960 to see Alfred Hitchcock's movie, all they knew was that if they were more than 10 minutes late, they couldn't get in. Beyond accomplishing the greatest bait and switch trick in movie history, as well as birthing the slasher subgenre, Hitchcock was changing the way audiences attended movies.
Yeah, his movies were really built up.
Yes. It's funny because, not that I'm trying to get too off topic here, but Alfred Hitchcock's theme could have been used on his TV show that he had. It isn't in here anywhere, but that is pretty iconic as well in my mind anyway. Number 2 is Jaws, which I don't think of Jaws and music going together, but written by John Williams. I'm not even sure if Jaws fully counts as a horror movie.
Well, that was dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it, but...
I mean, would you put that on your playlist? You know?
No, not at all. I dare you to name more than a few horror movies themes that have had a more blood-curdling effect. The movies still keep large groups of every generation out of the water. Jaws is one of the finest pieces of musical terrorism ever composed, thanks largely to its simplicity. Beginning as an insidious contrabass, the theme never graduates past its 2 notes as it encompasses the entire thought process of its great white Leviathan. In other words, it's eat, 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 and eat. I mean, I get what they're saying. I guess when I think of music, that to me is more effects, like sound effects, as opposed to musical creation.
Well, whenever I think they showed the shark, or before that, would play.
Yeah, the intensity kind of picks up when you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Number 1 on the list, no surprise here, Halloween, written by John Carpenter. Halloween embodies something far more sinister than Jaws. Halloween is a movie about evil, plain and simple. In writer, director, composer John Carpenter's world, evil is made flesh by one Michael Myers.
I still love Halloween and Halloween 2.
Yes.
And I still love that theme when you put the movie in.
Written by its director at a time when John Williams had brought symphonic soundtracks back, Halloween is a simple piano and synthesizer melody constantly repeated in a 10/8 or complex 5/4 meter throughout this picture. It represents the banality of evil and stalks your mind in your dreams like a knife hunts for meat. Yeah, I mean, you hear the bells, you hear that synthesizer, and you get chills up and down your spine.
I think that personifies Halloween.
I agree.
That song.
And you also hear that the old school projector, like the spinning of the. You know what I'm trying to think of? What is that word? Oh my god, the spinning of the film, that just constant. Halloween was fantastic. I take some liberties with this list. Killer Clowns from Outer Space has a fantastic track.
Okay.
And the Dream Warriors, man. What was that, Devo? I forget who sang that song, but Dio. I think it was Dio sang Dream Warriors. Oh, man, that's a great track. But anyway.
Well, I have never seen, Jeremy and I were talking before, Killer Clowns.
That's so disappointing.
I've seen parts. And I've never seen, I think I've seen parts of No, what's Dream Warrior? That's
Nightmare on Elm Street 3,
I've seen
the Dream Warriors, yeah.
I thought you meant the Warrior.
Oh, yeah, no.
So that's that's the 13 list. And that, and again, that was David Crow. He wrote that on October 21st, 2019. So next up, we're going to talk about some new horror movies that we've seen. We've actually seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like we just saw the trailer and don't like the movie. So stay tuned. We'll be back.
Would you like to see a magic trick?
Are you sure you have the right place?
Yeah. What am I supposed to do?
Speaking of surprises, kids, we have a very special guest with us today.
You looking for a place to stay?
Yes, sir.
That's one ugly son of a bitch.
Okay, we are back, and we're going to talk about horror movies that have come out this year that we've seen. So my first movie, I have mixed feelings about. And these, I have 4 movies, and they are movies that I like. So the first one is Nope. Did you see Nope?
Not yet. It's on my list.
Nope is, of course, a 2022 American neo-Western science fiction horror film. I don't know if that's a new genre movie. And it was directed, written, and co-produced by Jordan Peele. It stars Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer as horse-wrangling siblings attempting to capture evidence of an unidentified flying object. So there, I gave away what the thing is. Not exactly, but there is moments of horror in the movie. But to me, it's mostly, I'd say it's leaning more towards the sci-fi. Also, I think it's more a drama at some points, too. It's in chapters, which I think are the horse names It's very well done, I have to say. The landscape, the way it's filmed, just the way it looks is great. So we also have Steven, I can never say his name right, Steven Yeun. Mm-hmm. He was in The Walking Dead, Glenn, Michael Wincott, and Brandon Perea. Filming took place during fall 2021 in northern Los Angeles County and wrapped up in November. It premiered at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles on July 18th this year, and it was released July 22nd. And it has grossed $170 million worldwide. And it is divided into 5 chapters: Ghost, Clover, Gordy, Lucky, and Jean Jacket, which are horse names.
Okay.
So there's a lot of horses in this movie. We're out in looks like the desert. I'm not really sure exactly where they filmed. There's something in the sky behind the clouds. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is if you want to see it. My feelings on this movie are, one thing is the movie's too long. I think the movie, see if I can find it here. So I want to say the movie's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
Now, Steven Yeun's character, he plays Ricky Jupe Park. He's a former child actor, and he's the owner-creator of theme park Jupiter's Claim. He's more like a sideshow person, putting on horse shows and sort of, like a theme park. Like, I would say Wild West. I think he's in cowboy gear outfit. There's a backstory to his character, and I'm not going to tell you exactly. And that's where some of the horror comes in. It does nothing for the story, does nothing for the movie. If they cut that out, because that's a good 30 minutes, at least, I think the movie would be more, compact. Once you see it, you're like, we really didn't need to know any of that. But I like Jordan Peele. I liked his last movies. Overall, I think the movie's good, but like I said, it's too long. Will I see it again? Maybe, maybe not. So interesting is that Jordan Peele signed a 5-year exclusive production partnership. Or Universal Pictures announced a 5-year exclusive production in 2019. So there will be more films. It's funny though, Jordan Peele, when I first saw him, he was a comedian. It was Key and Peele. And if you look that up, I'm pretty sure it was on TV, and it was sort of a skit show.
Okay.
The skits are kind of strange, but funny. So it was just weird seeing him going into the horror movie genre. But Jordan Peele said about the movie Nope, I wrote it in a time when we were a little bit worried about the future of cinema. So the first thing I knew is I wanted to create a spectacle. And I'd say to see this, like if you have 2 hours and 20 minutes to see the movie, because like I said, it's beautifully filmed. He cited King Kong and Jurassic Park movies about humanity's addiction to spectacle, along with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Signs, and The Wizard of Oz as influences in his writing of the movie. He said the beauty of the sky is enthralling. Every now and then you'll see a cloud that sits alone and it's too low, and it gives me this vertigo and this sense of presence with a capital P. I can't describe it, but I knew if I could bottle that and put it into a horror movie, it might just change the way people look at the sky. Okay, so this film was shot in Agua Dulce, California. It had a $68 million budget, a lot more than the movie I think Jeremy's going to talk about today. Actually, that's $68 million is not a lot, right? $68 million. No, that is a lot. I'm thinking movie-wise, I guess that's a lot of money. And it was the first to employ trainees, 6 of them from Universal Film Entertainment Group's California below-the-line traineeship for individuals seeking careers behind the camera. So I think that's a great thing. They actually use people, sort of get them into the film industry. And he chose the title because he wanted to acknowledge movie audiences and their expected reactions to the film. And I have seen some reviews and people say, nope,
Yep.
Or they won't see it.
Yep.
He had considered calling the film Little Green Men. So there's a little trivia for you.
Okay.
So that was my first movie, Nope. So
All right.
see it or don't see it.
Yeah. So my first movie actually came out the very beginning of the year now, but still qualifies for a 2022 film. Scream Part 5.
Mm-hmm.
This was, well, it's an American slasher. Obviously, if you haven't seen the Scream movies, probably not a big horror fan because Ghostface is pretty iconic at this point. But this was actually the first film not directed by Wes Craven. This one was directed by Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. It's part 5 of the film. It is a direct sequel to Scream 4. One thing that I've kind of noticed with the Scream films, ever since basically the first one was released, is they all kind of have the same concept to them. Each movie, you know, I think your mind starts to try to solve the puzzle before you get to the end of the film. Because you know that there's something coming. There's a twist.
Yeah.
There's always a twist. And that's kind of their ongoing joke in the franchise. Scream has been successful not only because of that twist, but they also had a good core of actors that kind of stayed together throughout the entire franchise. I mean, you don't see the main cast getting killed off throughout the films.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe most of them have been in each of the 5 and have not missed a beat. Not going to give any spoilers, but this sequel takes place 25 years after the original. The original movie, Wes Craven, based off of a real-life situation that was happening, the Gainesville slasher or the Gainesville killer or whatever.
I don't think I even knew that.
Yeah, Florida, college student that was slashing people up, murdering them, and basically creating fear throughout, college community that wasn't necessary. This movie did a great job of leading you down one path as you're watching and kind of getting your mind thinking, okay, this is who did it, and then shifting midway through the movie, continuing to keep your mind moving and trying to, figure out that puzzle. A lot of people that I spoke, there were a lot of mixed reviews. I heard some people who liked it, a lot of people didn't like it, and I think it's a situation where you get 5 movies deep, people have kind of already predetermined that they're sick of seeing something. I thought the new director did a great job of sticking with a similar plot that Wes Craven created, giving it that same unique twist, but putting his own spin on the storyline that he was trying to present. I thought he did a great job with that. The movie itself, I loved it. I thought it was good for a sequel. Nothing will ever top the original. Not usually. There might be 1 or 2 out there that are better, but I thought it did a great job picking up where the last one left off. I thought it did a great job leaving it open-ended, moving down the road, because Scream 6 is filming, as we know. So I enjoyed it. Theatrically, it was released in the United States January 14th, grossing $140 million worldwide. It was praised for honoring Craven's legacy and offering thoughtful commentary on horror films in general. Some called it the best of the Scream sequels. I don't know if I'd go that far, personally. I did like it. I would probably rate it higher than Part 3, specifically, but I still like 2 and 4 better. So they did, I don't want to spoil anything. There are a few people that are no longer in the movie that get killed, obviously.
Yeah, they finally killed off someone.
Yes.
Of the original cast.
But I did love some of the new additions that they brought to the film, and I love some of the people that might potentially be moving forward in Part 6. So, I mean, my lasting impression on it, I would recommend it, especially if you're a Scream fan. You have to at least see it to, insert it into your personal enjoyment for each of those films. I'm looking forward to Part 6 when it comes out.
Yeah, I
think next year at this point.
I like the first couple ones. I saw the new one. I'm more the thought that they probably need to stop making the Scream. I don't know.
You might be right.
They kind of all look similar to me.
They do a lot of the same things each time.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Okay, my movie, this was not a theatrical movie. This was on Netflix. And it's the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window. It was originally titled The Woman in the House, but I guess they thought they needed a longer title. I don't know. So it's a miniseries created by Rachel Ramrus, Hugh Davidson, and Larry Dorff. Kristen Bell's in this. Who else is in this? Tom Riley, Mary Holland, Cameron Britton, Shelley Hennig, and Sam Sarah-Yet. It's primarily a parody of mystery psychological thrillers. Not entirely a horror movie. I didn't know watching this that it was a parody until like the end, because there's some quirky stuff in it when it starts. It is 8 episodes. So it's probably in the 5th or 6th before there's some like getting more towards the comedy. So by the end of, I'd say the 6th episode, maybe, I don't know, that it started getting more like some of the things that the characters said. Then I started, and maybe I read something that it was a parody of these shows, and maybe these shows that are showed on Lifetime or something. I thought it was really good. It was pretty interesting. Kristen Bell, she's divorced. So this guy and his daughter move in across the street. And of course, almost like Rear Window, she thinks she sees something, maybe hears something that maybe isn't quite what she thought she saw. It is pretty funny though. I mean, because I knew it wasn't a pure horror movie. I mean, she continually drinks big glasses of wine. So basically the premise is a heartbroken woman named Anna, Kristen Bell, is unsure of whether or not she witnessed a murder. So she mixes alcohol with medications prescribed by her therapist, has frequent hallucinations, and suffers from a crippling fear of the rain. And you find out why in the movie. So I thought overall this was pretty good. Like I said, this is on Netflix. One comedic thing in the movie is she always is cooking chicken casserole, but always something happens. She's going across the street to give this chicken casserole to the guy that moved in across the street, and it starts raining. And she passes out and drops the casserole dish, busts all over the road, chicken casserole. And then there's other scenes where the chicken casserole, I'm like thinking, how many chicken casserole dishes does she have?
Right.
Because she keeps breaking these dishes for some reason. Oh, and there's a guy that is repairing their mailbox. So I thought that was strange in the beginning, because by the 3rd or 4th episode, he's still repairing the mailbox. He's always out, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he's a little autistic, but he every day. And then there's a comment made later on, I don't know what episode, her ex-husband mentions, how long is he going to take to repair that mailbox? I think he says it's been 2 years. Mm-hmm. So that's when I'm like, that's where I got the comedy. I'm like, okay, this isn't really as serious as I thought. So the final episode, there is a cameo by Glenn Close. She's in the final episode. I'd say check that one out. Like I said, 8 episodes. The woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window.
All right.
Okay.
Number 2 for me. All right. There was some debate about this in my Facebook group online. The Black Phone.
Yes.
It came out in 2022, at least in theaters in the United States. I believe it was in a film festival in 2021.
Mm-hmm. So
if you research it online, you'll find some that say 2021. But it came out in June of 2022 in the United States.
That's
saw
all
it in
that
theaters.
matters.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going by. Jim, I know you saw this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Phone. Absolutely fantastic. My favorite movie of the year, without a doubt. Probably my favorite movie in the last decade. It's considered a supernatural horror film. I think it's definitely suspenseful, and thriller would be, another subgenre I would add to it. Movie was directed by Scott Derrickson, written by Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill, who both produced with Jason Blum. Some stars in the film are Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, Jeremy Davies, James Ransone, and Ethan Hawke. You have a town in fear of a killer that is abducting children. And you get to see what happens basically when one of those children finally, I don't want to say finally gets abducted because several had been abducted, but you see one who gets abducted and now you see what happens after they deal with the abduction. You're on the edge of your seat wondering, how is this child going to get away, or is he going to get away? And then he starts to get help from previous victims along the way. And then while he's kind of working through each of these issues and scenarios that he's dealing with, you have Ethan Hawke, who plays an absolutely brilliant killer. Yeah. He's just so calm, so cool, almost acts like he's your best friend. And you don't know what his true intentions are, because it's not like he's starving these kids. It's not like he's necessarily beating these kids. He's not raping these. Like, you don't see anything that leads you to believe that he might not want to be anything other than their friend. In a weird way.
Although they're not in a common place in the house.
Correct. Yeah. So
I don't think I'm trying to remember if he says much in the movie either.
He doesn't say a lot. He does say some, but he's got a wacky brother, which is hilarious. Just some great comedy filler. So at least it gives you a few laughs at points too. I could just say that I never saw what happened coming. There was a lot of jump scares. There was a lot of suspenseful moments that you just kind of sat there and went, wow, I didn't see that coming. And, you know, for all the hype that this movie had, the release was pushed back several times. You know, I was a little concerned, but I went to the theater and it's one of the few times I left the theater and went, I have to buy that when it comes out. I want to see it again.
Yeah, I want to see it again.
It comes out.
Yeah.
I was blown away at how simple it was, but how good the acting was, how good the expressions were throughout the film, and just how great the storyline flowed from start to finish.
And Tom Savini worked on it too.
Yeah, he did some of the makeup and special effects.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if he created the look for the main character. Maybe he did. So.
Yeah, I don't know. It was that was very creative and original. $161 million at the box office for The Black Phone. Very, very successful.
And you mentioned Joe Hill, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I might not have.
Yeah, Joe Hill wrote it.
Yes,
Stephen King's son.
Yes, I didn't mention that. Thank you. I was
not that nepotism creates, genius, but I've read some of his books, probably 2 or 3 of his books, and they're good. He's good on his own. He's not trying to be his father.
Yes. Yep.
But he's got a good mind. He got the mind to be a writer, probably from his father. His mother, she's a writer too. I don't know what she writes though. And
then the only other thing I wanted to mention here was that Derrickson was actually inspired by films such as The 400 Blows from 1959, The Devil's Backbone from 2001, and Rosemary's Baby from 1968. Those all kind of went into that film. But talk about leaving a lasting impression. That I would 10 out of 10 recommend everybody see The Black Phone at least one time.
Yes. So my next film is Barbarian, which I saw in the theater. This film was directed by Zach Krieger and written by Zach Krieger. Now, interesting thing about Zach is that he was also, like Jordan Peele, he was a comedian. He was in Friends with Benefits. He was also in this show that my wife and I watched called Wreck. And it was a comedy, and it was almost like a parody of Lost. There's a plane crash, and they're stranded on this island. And each one had their own personality, but he played the pilot, this guy. So it's interesting to see that he wrote this movie, Barbarian. This movie stars Bill Skarsgård, Justin Long, Georgina Campbell, Richard Brake, who we talked about in the Munsters movie. So Richard Brake he's not in the whole movie. I'm not going to tell you the character. Well, I can tell you a little bit. He's when they show the movie goes into like the past. So he plays a character from the past. That's all I can say. So basically, this girl rents an Airbnb, and it's in Detroit. It's like it's in the worst part of Detroit. But the thing is, the house looks great. Right. The house looks brand new. So if you went online and they showed the house, not the neighborhood, you would be like, hey, that looks pretty good. But all the houses around it are boarded up. Now, it's at night when she arrives. So when she gets there, there's another guy in the house who also rented the house, and that is Bill Skarsgård. I like this movie a lot because there were twists and turns. It's a movie where from the very beginning, you're convinced of one thing, and it turns into another. I don't want to give a lot away. Let's just say something strange is going on, which you find out a little bit later. Now, Justin Long, I can tell you, he is the guy that owns the house. And he shows up later. And he's like an LA guy. I don't know, maybe he owns a couple houses. I can't remember why he goes back to the house. Oh, I think I remember. Okay, so Justin Long is a sitcom actor. Okay. But he's been fired from his TV show due to rape allegations by the co-star. He has to sell all his assets to pay for his legal costs. And basically, he goes back to the property, his rental property. And somehow he doesn't realize that it's being rented. Okay. But like I said, I'm not going to tell you, because if I start telling you some other things, that'd give it away.
Right.
If you haven't seen Barbarian, I want you to, because I didn't know anything. My wife tells me I watched the trailer, but the trailer I don't think showed much.
No.
And I sometimes like movies. I like movies like that if you go in and then you're like, you love the movie then, or it could go the opposite way. I really like this movie. I like that I didn't know anything, so it was all new. Even the premise or what was going on. I didn't know what was going on until it was going on, so to speak. So anyway, I like this movie a lot. So, again, Barbarian. I think it did pretty well at the box office. Let me see here. So this movie did pretty well. It cost $4 million to make, and it made 31. It's not an incredible number, but they made their money back, 8 times over?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's 107 minutes, so it's a good amount of time. An hour and 47 minutes. And that movie came out September 9th, so it's fairly new. So again, Barbarian.
My next movie, I actually just fresh off of seeing this, Terrifier 2. If you have not seen Terrifier, this demonic clown basically slashes people up.
And his name's Art?
His name is Art the Clown. He does not speak, but he is very funny. He's also creepy as hell, but he's very funny. Damien Leone is the writer, director, and producer of Terrifier 2, direct sequel to the first Terrifier. David Howard Thornton plays Art the Clown. He is fantastic. You want to talk about doing a phenomenal job in acting. He is scary, he is funny, and he is spot on with every expression that he's trying to hit in the theater to make you react to. The new movie stars a young lady named Lauren Lavera, who I've never seen before, but I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of her.
Jeremy hopes to meet her at the autograph show.
I would love to meet her. She's very beautiful. But she was fantastic. I mean, she nailed the role perfectly of a girl who was courageous, intelligent, witty, but also shy and reserved, all kind of into one. She did a great job of just nailing it. Her brother in the movie, Elliot Fulham, does a terrific job as there are 2 kids who lost their father. And you learn about that, and the mom is struggling to kind of keep them together as a family. So they're dealing with issues. The boy has a sketchbook from the dad. I'm not going to spoil too much, but the sketchbook has Art the Clown in it. So there's some kind of link to what's happening throughout the movie. There's a young lady, Casey Harnett. Oh my God. There's a scene that is just absolutely fantastic, and I will not ruin it for you, but she's also very, very beautiful young lady, great actress. She did a terrific job in her role. Movie is very violent. It's quite gory in comparison to the first one, where
the first one was gory too.
you also had one of the craziest kill scenes ever seen in the first one.
But the second one it's more.
Yes, it's even more violent.
Yeah, so if you like your horror movies with not a lot of blood, maybe body parts. I didn't see Terrifier 2, but
there's body parts.
This might not be the one for you.
No, probably not. They're doing a fantastic job already. The budget was only $250,000. They're near or over $1 million at this point. And I have already seen on Facebook today, I have more friends going to see this tonight, so I can only imagine that this thing is going to just keep generating money.
Well, it came out at the perfect time, too.
Yeah.
Right before Halloween. That's always a good time to see a new horror movie.
The one thing I will say, so I loved the movie. Art the Clown is quickly becoming one of my favorite horror slasher villains. I mean, he is fantastic with, making you laugh, but also scaring the living daylights out of you. Movie was a bit long, about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I thought the ending could have been cut a little bit. I'm not a director, so I'm not criticizing too much, but just seemed to go on a little bit. There was a couple of random scenes throughout the movie that are tolerable, but maybe not needed for the overall plot.
Yeah, and then there was that scene with Steven Yeun in the movie, right? No, that was Nope.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
so confused.
They put him in there again. They wanted you to see that scene that you didn't need to be in there.
Well, you do want to stick around, though. So, do you know Chris Jericho, the wrestler?
Yeah.
He is in this movie.
Okay.
Not till the very end, but you do see him. After the credits, though, you get a spoiler alert of what's potentially to come.
Oh, okay.
So, that was great. And then there was a kind of behind the scenes with the director, Damien Leone, as far as filming the movie, some of the challenges they faced and some of the, experiences they had. But I've met Damien and David Howard Thornton on the convention circuit.
Yeah.
Both are very...
Yeah, I've met David Howard Art the Clown.
They're both very interactive, very personable.
Yeah.
Very fan-friendly people. Go out of your way to meet them. They're great guys. The movie, fantastic. From start to finish, I loved it. As I said, maybe a little long, but that'd be my only complaint. Very excited if there's going to be a part 3, but I would definitely recommend the Terrifier trilogy. If you're looking for a horror villain besides your Michael Myers or your Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees, Art the Clown is really cool.
Yeah. So my next movie is the movie X.
Oh.
Have you seen it?
Not yet. I have it in the car.
So my wife didn't want to see this for some reason. I don't know why, but she did. And I really liked this movie. Reminded me of the old slasher movies in some respect. It wasn't like there was, like a Michael Myers or Jason type character. And I think it takes place in the 70s. And it's got an interesting concept. Now, there's not a lot of real gory scenes. I mean, there is a couple, but there is a lot of nudity. Nice. If you like nudity. Because the plot of the movie is that it follows a cast and crew who gather to make a pornographic film on an elderly couple's rural Texas property. And they find themselves threatened by an unlikely killer.
Oh.
So this was filmed in New Zealand. Now we have Mia Goth is just great in the movie. There is a second movie, which is a prequel. It's called Pearl. Pearl is a character in X. I won't tell you who she is. We've got Jenna Ortega, who is in Wednesday coming up.
Oh,
about Wednesday Addams.
That actually looks good.
Martin Henderson, Brittany Snow. She's been in Pitch Perfect, Hairspray, Prom Night, and she was one of the porn stars. Oh. So there's Owen Campbell, Stephen Ure, and Scott Mescudi.
Stephen Yen?
Yeah, no, Stephen Ure. Mia Goth and Brittany Snow are the two women that are filming the porn. Kid Cudi, did I say that right? C-U-D-I, Cudi, Scott Mescudi. Now, Kid is one of the main characters. He is the guy. He is the star of the porno. Okay. Now, don't laugh, but would you like to know his name in the movie?
Of course.
So, as a porn star, His name is Jackson Hole, which is a place.
Yeah.
But the movie generally received positive reviews, with critics praising its homages to the 20th century slasher films, particularly 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So I really like this movie. It is slow starting. You almost feel like you're watching Nope for a little while because of the farm, I don't know, flatlands, and I don't know. It is interesting. There's some scenes towards the end that kind of drive it to the end of the movie, and it takes place at night. So I like the feel of the movie. You might not be up for the subject matter. The movie's not rated X, so it is rated R. They do show some scenes, but they're very brief. You have Richard Roper, who wrote that X also contains echoes of such pornographic films as Blue Movie and Debbie Does Dallas. But again, it's rated R. It is called X. I'd say see it. I really enjoyed it. I think my wife did. And I'm looking forward to seeing Pearl. Because Pearl, like I said, is a prequel. And it's based on one of the characters. And it takes place, I want to say, in the 40s, 50s. I'm really a big fan of those kind of movies. Just seeing how they do the set designs, the cars, all that. I don't know. This might be another horror movie. Pearl, I'm not saying X, but Pearl looks really good. It's supposed to be, I think it's out now. And it might be the next movie to get an Academy Award. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to be one of those people.
Right.
I'm going the other way. It's going to be an incredible movie.
Yep.
That was my last movie. Do you have any other things?
Not to really go into depth, but Monstrous came out in 2022. Mm-hmm. I love Christina Ricci. Mm-hmm. That was a good movie. Worth a watch, maybe. I don't know that it was great. I saw it one time, so now I'm kind of drawing a blank. But a mother and her son get away from an abusive ex-husband, and she moves away, but she's kind of dealing with personal, what is that? Like, I don't want to say memory loss, but a struggle with reality. Yes, is kind of how you can put it. So you kind of see her dealing with issues with her son, but there's also a lake monster that's also, relevant in the film.
Yeah.
The entire time.
It was enjoyable.
Yes. It was different, and it was a thriller, which is really my, favorite genre when it comes to horror movies. I am a big fan of Christina Ricci, but it was just a unique film that I guess it was like a horror movie, but almost like a tearjerker type movie too, because you almost get so entrenched in the plot that you start to get the emotion of, oh my God, what's happening? So it's scary, but then it's also real. I don't know, combined. It's hard to explain, but thought it was worth mentioning. I know you saw it as well. I don't know if
I don't remember too much. It must not have been memorable for me, but
right.
I wanted to mention briefly the new HELLRAISER. It's a 2-hour movie. I thought it was pretty good. It had some good visuals, and I wasn't really a big fan of HELLRAISER. I saw the first couple ones. I will tell you a story, is that I was working security at night, overnight with a friend of mine, and
he had pins in his head.
No, he would, well, I'm not going to say the name of the place or anything, but he would leave. He was not supposed to leave, but he left to get McDonald's and came back. And anyway, we rented, back then you rent a movie, and we'd wheel this. It was an office building, huge office building. So a guy had a VCR and a TV cart. So we'd wheel that down and we'd watch movies. And one was, I don't think it was the first one. I'm pretty sure it was the second one. It was like so bloody. And I actually got nauseous. I almost vomited. Yep. And that's the only movie that ever gave me that reaction. Maybe that's why I haven't watched the other ones. So the new HELLRAISER, though, I don't think there was that much blood. There are gory scenes in the movie, of course, because it's HELLRAISER. I thought it was pretty good. There are some people that didn't like it. Again, they're trying to remake, stuff. But I just watch movies that they're entertaining. They're entertaining. HELLRAISER's on Hulu. And Interview with the Vampire we started watching. I think that's on AMC. I think it's really good. I mean, I like the movie. Jeremy, you like the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
The original movie was great, yep.
What my hopes are that once they get through an Interview with the Vampire, they continue, which I always hoped with the movies, instead of they did Queen of the Damned. And I hope they continue with The Vampire Lestat, the other books. I read all the vampire books.
Mm-hmm.
And Vampire Lestat is just as good as Interview with the Vampire. I'm hoping they just continue the series, the TV show.
Yep.
Like that.
As we speak, I have tickets to see Halloween Ends.
Oh, yeah, Halloween Ends.
That one's at the making of this podcast. It's not out yet.
Yeah.
So we can't review it.
Well, by the time you hear this, I will be out.
Yes.
And I will have seen it, too. I'm going to watch it on Paramount. Jeremy's going to theater to see it.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings with Halloween. It's hard to say with these movies whether they should end or not.
Yeah.
Because you still want the excitement. Like, you're excited to go to the theater and see this in the theater. Something new, but they're old characters. But you always want to have that feeling of seeing something for the first time. So why not? Friday the 13th, the next movie will be the 13th movie. And they're fighting over the rights, and there's new info that maybe there will be another one soon. So, people may think that they should just stop Friday the 13th. I don't know why. People still go see the stuff and enjoy it.
Right.
Just do it,
Yep. No, I agree. I
mean, we were talking earlier about, remakes, and one that I didn't like was Psycho. And for me, I love Alfred Hitchcock, and I love the movie Psycho. I like Rope. I like, do you ever see Rope?
I have not seen Rope.
Jimmy Stewart. Rear Window, of course. I don't know why, but that's one of the only movies I have that feeling about, is because I just love Psycho. I like it because it's black and white. And the new one came out a while ago, but they tried to do it. I think they tried to do it scene for scene.
Yeah. But converted to color.
Yeah. And I was actually offended by the one scene with Vince Vaughn where he's masturbating.
Yeah.
It wasn't needed. And
no.
So anyway, that's one film that I didn't think should be remade.
Yeah. I've heard rumors of A Nightmare on Elm Street, potentially Robert Englund revising the role of Freddy one more time.
Uh-huh.
And part of me thinks that would be really cool, and another part of me is like, I don't know, because the remake, the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, where I think it was Jackie Earle Haley played Freddy Krueger, I didn't like the movie at all.
Yeah.
I didn't think it did anything for the franchise. I didn't think it did.
I think I saw that.
I don't think it did anything to help out the movie. If you're going to remake it, you should have a new vision and something in mind to try and draw in an audience.
Yeah, create something totally new.
Correct.
It'd be great if Robert Englund was Freddy again.
Right.
And just have really good script, really good visual, everything. And again, it's one of those where you would want to go into the theater and see this new, not a remake of the first one, but something new, exciting. Doesn't matter if it's an old character that we've seen before. I like the slasher movies, like that.
And I think Halloween did a great job with John Carpenter branching off. Sure, you've had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever throughout. But they basically started their own, okay, the first one happened, now pretend the others don't exist. Yeah. Here's part 2, here's part 3.
It's like Batman.
Yeah.
The beginning Batman movies, there was 4 or 5, and then they started over again.
I'd rather see these directors... It's not maybe new and original, but at least you're being creative. If you think you have something better to add to the story, go back in time and add it. Let the fans determine if it should be the better second choice or if it, whatever. But give us something fresh and new. And if you can add on to the story, then by all means do it. But make it make sense. Don't just keep Michael Myers alive just to try and make money off of the Michael Myers name.
Or rehash old scripts, and like Spider-Man. James Cameron, I think, did the first one.
Mm-hmm.
and then they regurgitated Spider-Man again. But then they got better. It's like Batman. When they brought Batman back, Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
The first one wasn't that great. Like Liam Neeson was in that.
Right.
Until the second one with Heath Ledger as Joker.
Yep.
That was the second one, and that was
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then
it's like Terminator 2.
Batman's a
Who
great
saw
example.
the first Terminator? I'm sure people saw it. But why did Terminator 2, when they came, it was huge.
Right. Yeah, and going back to your Batman example, I think that's a great one. The kid from Twilight, I'm drawing a blank on his name, played the new Batman.
Robert Pattinson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people wrote it off as if it was going to be garbage because they didn't like him from the Twilight movies. The newest Batman that was released might be one of the 3 best Batman movies that was made, in my opinion, that was made. And I heard a lot of people that were hating on him getting that lead actually enjoying the movie.
Yeah.
And acknowledging how good he did in
That's
the role.
one I have to go back and watch again. I think there's a lot there in that movie.
Yep.
A lot to take in. You know, it's not just some flashy comic book, you know, like Batman Returns, you know, stuff with the Penguin or like Dick Tracy movie, you know.
Yep.
I think there's actually some intelligence to some of the newer Batman movies.
Yeah, I agree.
Not that they're not fun to watch, they still are. So I guess that does it for our podcast. So
Got a little off topic there, but
yeah. Maybe we'll talk about sequels someday or remakes.
There you go.
In more detail. Thank you, everyone who listens regularly. You know, if you like our podcast, make sure you tell a friend. And if they like music, or of course we're talking about movies today, we go a little off topic for Halloween, which I like. Try to work in some music stuff. Hopefully you've been enjoying the latest podcast and keep listening. And you'll hear from us again soon.
Take care, everybody.
You've been listening to No Good Music. Intro and exit music by the band 99%. Today's show was produced and edited by Jim Thatcher and recorded at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts. The song Oh the Horror, created and compiled by Jim Thatcher.